do some whisper Q&A today.
Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon.
Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon. Be sure to sign up to our Patreon. If gravity suddenly turned off for 10 seconds, what's the very first thing you would do? Well, that's actually a good question, because most people would be like, oh, I try to fly up, but then it's 10 seconds later and you're falling to the ground. So I think, honestly, I would, because it would be interesting to watch the stream go up instead of down. You know what I mean? If animals could talk, which one would be the most sarcastic? Now, I think most people would say cats, and that's probably the right answer, but like if you really give it a lot more thought, I think the animal that would be the most sarcastic would be think about maybe like a fly or a bug, because think about it, flies are always flying around. Man, probably cats. That's stupid, I don't know what I'm talking about, but probably cats. If your life had a laugh track, when would it play the loudest? It would probably play the loudest when I self-deprecate myself and I talk about I'm just a big loser. People would probably, if I had a laugh track, it would probably play when people were mean to me, or if I from the grocery store, which I don't do, but that would be like an applause break. Like, oh my god, he's Wonder Bread, and I'd get an applause break. If you were invisible for 24 hours, what's the most harmless mischief you'd cause? Well, grocery store, I'd probably go to the grocery store, because food's expensive nowadays. What's something else? I'd probably go to the movies. I'd do a lot of simple stuff like that. Honestly, there's nothing really at the movies right now I'd want to see, so I don't know. I don't know if that's hard. If you had to smell like one food forever, what food would you pick? Probably strawberries. Pretty simple answer, but probably just strawberries. Everybody likes the smell of strawberries. Or watermelon, actually. Watermelon, you know what? They're never able to nail the taste of watermelon and watermelon flavored things. They're never able to nail the taste. If you could swap voices with any celebrity for a day, who would it be? Probably Norm Macdonald. I think Norm Macdonald would be a great voice to swap with. I would just be a sarcastic prick all day. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten on purpose? That's a good question. For a long time I thought the weirdest thing that I'd ever eaten was octopus, but they serve that at Korean barbecue. I ate crickets one time. I ate crickets just because I wanted to see. And I'll tell you this, when it's salted right, it doesn't taste that bad. It's actually not that bad. Describe a time when you laughed at something you absolutely shouldn't have. Okay, so I actually could think, so when I was in high school, me and my buddy were hanging out with this girl, and this girl starts talking about, she's like, my dad died a couple days ago, and my friend next to me goes, good riddance, right? And I started laughing because I just couldn't believe he said that. But this girl's like, no, not good riddance, that's my dad, he's dead, and I loved him. But I'll never forget that. And honestly, that was one of the few times I've been to Del Taco. Every time I go to Del Taco since, I think about that girl's dead father. Have you ever experienced deja vu so strong it creeped you out? I can't think of any specific. No, I don't think so, honestly. I don't think so. Those moments, though, that you have where it's like, did I dream this, or was this something that happened to me? I have those a lot. I guess that is what deja vu is. What's the strangest coincidence you've ever had happen to you? Oh, man, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know. Do you have an irrational fear that makes no logical sense? Okay, I do. Now, there are these, if you go to Target or Walmart, there are these balls that have strings on them, these rubber strings, and I hate them. I don't know. They're these stringy balls, and they freak me out. What's the most bizarre dream you can actually remember in detail? Okay, so when I was a child, I had a reoccurring nightmare I was in a castle and it was being flooded, and I'm trying to swim away from, and Voldemort's chasing me, but there's a brick in my swimsuit and I can't swim very fast, but I'm being chased by Voldemort. I remember that. If you had to describe the color green without saying green, how would you do it? I'd be like, you know that color, that's a combination of blue and yellow. That's probably what I'd say. What's the most satisfying sound you've ever heard in real life? Wow, that's a good question. You know what? The sound of my own voice. That's probably the most satisfying sound I've ever heard. Describe a smell that instantly takes you back to childhood. Whenever I get a whiff of Play-Doh, I think about how I ruined my mom's carpet with. There was one time I was playing with Play-Doh when I was a kid, and I put it into the carpet, and I ruined the carpet. We had to get a completely new carpet because we never were able to get it out. If your personality was a texture, what could it feel like? It'd be like sandpaper, because it's really rough, but the opposite side of sandpaper is smooth, but you wouldn't know unless you turned it over, so you gotta get to know it. I don't know, that's stupid. I don't really know. If you could invent a brand new ASMR trigger, what would it be? I don't know, I don't really know what an ASMR trigger is, like something that would trigger you. I don't know, man. Get political and political ASMR probably. What's a sound that most people hate but you secretly enjoy? That's a good question. I'll tell you, I don't know. I actually don't know. If you could pause time for 5 minutes, how would you use it? Probably grocery store, honestly, if we're gonna go back to that. I freeze time for 5 minutes. For a little bit, I would. Here's the thing. I'm just, from the grocery store. By the way, you could do that without freezing time. It's really easy, and I'll get into that another time. Would you rather visit Earth 1,000 years in the past or 1,000 years in the future? Now, I'm gonna go past, because there's so much history that happened 1,000 years ago. It would be so interesting to see how because we have an idea of what the past was like, but do we have a full understanding? I don't know. I'm not sure that we do. 1,000 years in the future, I would just be, I would be way too lost. It would be scary, honestly. It might be scary 1,000 years in the past, but at least I would be walking around with my iPhone and they would worship me like a god. I go 1,000 years in the future with my iPhone, they're like, what is that, old brick? And then they would start watching TV on their eyelids or something. If you could watch one random stranger's day in full, like a movie, who would you pick? Well, if it's a stranger, I don't really know who they are, so I don't know how I could pick a stranger, but if I could pick somebody I know, I have a buddy named who's a good friend of mine. I'd love to see what he does during the day. He's an interesting specimen of a human being. Would you rather remember everything perfectly? Oh, I wish, or be able to forget at will. I wish I could forget at will. I think everybody in the world would love to forget certain things at will. If I could forget, there are 4 things that I wish I could forget, and if I forgot those 4 things, I guarantee right now, I would be 6'5", and I'd be in the fucking NBA. I don't know. I just know I would be. If you had to replace your hands with kitchen utensils, what would you choose? Knives. That'd be like Edward Scissorhands, Brad Scissorhands. Which cartoon character do you think you get along with best? Okay, that's a great question. I could give a multitude of answers. I'm gonna say Daffy Duck. Oh no, Charlie Brown. Because here's the thing, I relate to Charlie Brown. Actually, my phone lock screen is Charlie Brown. I love Charlie Brown, and my story's uploading, still hasn't uploaded yet. But Charlie Brown, he's always down on himself. Charlie Brown and I would get along very well. If you had to wear one Halloween costume every day for a year, what question. Probably the Fonz from Happy Days wearing a leather jacket and a white t-shirt would be really cool. I would do that. If aliens landed tomorrow, what snack would you offer them first? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not a big snacker, but if I snack, then I'll do cashews. Yeah, maybe cashews, you know. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.